Hello, it's November 13th, 2024. I'll try to brighten it up in here. I just finished the Case of the Rolling Bones, Perry Mason, by Earl Stanley Gardner. And it was a really good book. Super confusing. Of course, the best ones are. The Perry Masons always end up in a court trial at some point, which you kind of only know part of the facts. And then he solves the case kind of little by little. But the thing that was cool about this one, especially at the end, was that Perry Mason kind of set up the cops a little bit and made them pay for some mischief that they did by doing mischief of his own. And the basic outline of this is that there is a guy that's murdered. It looks like family are trying to get rid of him for inheritance money. And there's multiple murders. How do I say this without spoiling the whole thing? I will just say this. There's identity theft in this to the max. So figuring out who is becoming the major crux of this story. And it was really kind of interesting. It involved the Yukon and some gold prospecting and different settings, which was cool. It wasn't all in one location. They kind of jumped around. And kind of several threads going on so that it was hard to follow, but he wraps it up very well. This was, I think I said, my 9th Perry Mason book. So far, I've read The Case of the Velvet Claws, The Case of the Lazy Lovers, or Lover, The Case of the Buried Clock, The Case of the Half-Wakened Wife. Let's see, what is that one? Dangerous Dowager. I can't read that one. Oh, The Caretaker's Cat, The Negligent Nymph. They always got the Borrowed Brunette. They always have interesting names to these stories. But this one is The Case of the Rolling Bones, and it was pretty good. I've only, out of 9 books, read one that I thought was a little far-fetched. This one was creative. I guess you could almost say it's far-fetched, but not really. I mean, because there's a lot of identity theft going on now. That's, I don't want to go into too much detail in case you read it, but this cover is from the 60s era. I buy a lot of these used because you can't find them new. There's various covers out there that look better than this one. It's not horrible, but it just looks 60s. Okay. Hey, what's up? This is Shock Zone. Hey, what's up? So I'm finally doing an Iron Maiden discography review where I'm listening to every album, something I've been doing for a while. What's your favorite album from the band? Whew, that's tough. I mean, so let me see the other one. I think you wrote the same thing twice. Let's see. I do it for fun while I listen to every album from a band, old and new. A lot of people don't do that these days. Oh, my wife is on here. Hello, Turtle Girl. You know what? Seventh Son of a Seventh Son. Before I say that's my favorite, because the thing about Seventh Son of a Seventh Son is it's not, it's almost bordering on progressive rock. I wouldn't almost call it metal because I'm going to put this down. The guitar tone on that record is so smooth. It's almost as if they got tired of edgy guitar tone and kind of made it more. I mean, I don't know if that's a producer or a band getting tired of listening to really sheer attack guitars, but it's very smooth guitar and it's more progressive. It seems like it's a concept album. Yeah, I think that's true because all the songs kind of tie in. I will say their concepts are a little loose, though. If you've looked at the newest Bruce Dickinson, or it's not Maiden, I think it's Bruce Dickinson record, which is a concept, and it's got a comic book inside of it, and you read it, and it's kind of like, I don't know what the hell that is. It's supposed to be all one story, and it seems like just a bunch of blurred gobbledygook. So, I mean, if there's an outlined story to Seventh Son of a Seventh Son, I don't know how many people really understand it other than just a few ideas. It's a really good record, though. And the other thing I'll say about that is if you survey listeners and you ask them about the best record from a certain band that everybody likes, it's almost always the record that was their 16 to 19-year-old range. And that pretty much was the case with me with Seventh Son of a Seventh Son. I will say this, the early record, like Killers and all that with what's his name, Paul Diamante or whatever, I don't like his singing. So Bruce, once he came in, he made the band valid to me. Power Slave's a great record. Yeah, I don't know. It's somewhere in that time frame from Power Slave to Seventh Son. After Seventh Son, Fear of the Dark, a lot of people quote that one, but I don't really like that record that much. And honestly, to give it a fair matchup, I'd have to go back and probably look at the song list because I don't have it memorized like I would a Rush set of records, or it's more like it'd be like the Toto catalog for me. I know there's a lot of great songs in there, but aside from Toto 4, which is undisputable their best record, if I had to pick a secondary favorite, it'd be very difficult. And that's kind of like where I am with Maiden. Maiden is one of those bands for me that I'm gonna get killed by saying this. I am not a metalhead. I'm old and I like classic rock better than metal. Although I liked metal a lot growing up, I'm not into that as much as classic rock. But that said, if I had to pick between Iron Maiden and Ozzy, I would take Iron Maiden any day. If I had to pick between Iron Maiden and Metallica, I'd take Iron Maiden any day. But that said, is Iron Maiden Rush? No. And even are they Toto to me? No. Toto to me is just more my bag. And it has a lot to do with the drums, right? Because there's a place that you go once you play double bass drumming and metal drumming where you top out and there's nothing left. But if you look at the drummers that have played with Toto and more prog classic rock kinds of bands, Rush, of course, there's only one drummer for Rush, but those guys, they have more variation in their playing, it seems to me. Metal is just metal. And that's why you see about a jillion of these guys on YouTube that are just fast double bass thrashers, and they all sound the same. There's no difference between one and the other. You could put 50 of them on in a row and you wouldn't know who's who. That's because they just want to make noise and there's no texture to it. And I've always liked the real kind of bring it down and have some dynamics in it. This is one of my old buddies who was older than me. I don't hang around with him anymore, but years ago, he told me that was the brilliance of Led Zeppelin, was the dynamics, because they could bring it up and then they could bring it down, and they went everywhere in between. And metal, for the most part, doesn't do it as much. Maiden does a little bit. Metallica, not so much. They're kind of loud all the time. And, the new metal, once that came out, it was loud all the time. And I just can't handle that. Who wants to play heavy all the time? You want to play some technique in there. Okay, Killers has a sort of late 70s sound. Yeah, I don't like Killers. Iron Maiden is just a standard metal band, in my opinion. Yeah, they were in the 80s before all this new metal got formulaic. And even Maiden got formulaic after a while, where it was just the same cookie cutter 4 chords and a gallop. But I digress. This video is supposed to be about Perry Mason. So anyway, I'm going to wrap it up and tell you that I really like the Rolling Bones. Good book. And let's see, is there more comments down here? Do I have to hit an arrow? No, I think that's it. I really like Perry Mason. I'm looking forward to my 10th. I've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've got at least 7 books up there in my rack that I'm going to have to get to in 2025. I just loaded up my book rack with a whole bunch of new stuff, and I'm excited because my free time involves reading books, playing drums, trying to play guitar, sometimes successfully, sometimes not. And This year is coming to a close. Always great to see the content. Yeah, with metal, it's kind of like you have things happen in you just have things happen that kind of motivate you to play a little bit more aggressive for a while. And then with me, it's like I start getting burned out, and then I want to go back to the acoustic guitar and play something really quiet. And I seem like I'm on that kind of down slope right now. I can't play metal songs every day forever. They get not just tiring, but they get boring to me after a while. So thanks for all my watchers. Hope you enjoyed this video. And if you don't read, this is they're still better than watching those old black and whites, which I won't do. But if you aren't a reader, think about it. Pink Floyd, for example, yeah, right. The only problem with Pink Floyd is if you go to drum them, they're boring. But sitting around listening to it's great. So there's a few good drum songs for Pink Floyd, but most of the time it's boring. So it's kind of I like black. You like black? Yeah, but Perry Mason's not black and white movies. It's black and white TV. She's in the other room laughing at me. Have you even heard or ever seen a Perry Mason old episode? Now she's not going to talk. Animals is your favorite Pink Floyd. That's a great record. There's a lot of great Pink Floyd records. And again, picking the favorite is very difficult. Most people are going to say The Wall or Dark Side of the Moon, probably. But there's some others that are definitely in the mix. And I don't even know if I could pick one of those, like ever, if you put them side by side and tried to pick the best one. It's just too hard. And David Gilmour's, some of his solo records are just great. And I'm not dissing Nick Mason at all. He is a great drummer, but the style of Pink Floyd is not like drummers music per se. It's almost like I love Amy Mann and I love listening to her songs, but going out in the garage and playing drums, it's kind of like, did I even just play or did I just kind of click some stuff out? I don't know. I mean, Time, he does some great stuff with Rototoms on there, and yeah, there's a lot of for me, Pink Floyd is all about David Gilmour. Never really dug the other guy, even though he sings and plays bass and all that. But to me, without David Gilmour, Pink Floyd are nobody. So Pink Floyd is not a prog rock band, in my opinion. They have moments of it. He's a definitely more of a blues guitar player. If you were to put him in a box, it'd have to be that. Although he busts out the slide guitar too. So he's got some hidden country influences in there. If they call it that in Britain, I'm not sure. But anyway, I'm going to hang it up for the evening. That was my 9th Perry Mason book. And I like those books probably better than Agatha Christie. But to be fair to her, I've only read like 6 or something. So I'm a few behind. And nothing will top the Sherlock Holmes books from Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. By far the best murder mysteries I've read.